Okay, I think it's working. Depending on the microphone quality on the computer, I may try my earbuds, the microphone on my earbuds. So, but I just wanted to. So you can see why I shaved my head. Besides just Morgellon's hairs, you can research that. There's a great channel called Skizit Gesture. I'll try to find a good video. There's one on the hairs, specifically hairs, and that's a great channel there. She's really informative. I say she because I was listening to Ella F just put out like half a dozen interviews last night, or that I noticed last night. So one of the guys was referring to someone he works with named Skizit, and so I assumed it was Skizit Gesture, and he referred to her as a she, so that's why I say she. But I don't think you can tell by any of the videos on the channel. It's just imagery in the background, and then very scientific, like, you know, cited example, the patents, the names of all, is very scientific. So, you know, I like those kind of sites, either that or people who, like anecdotal evidence of people who are actually going through it right now, currently. So I try to steer clear of anything that seems like it could be conspiracy theory related. Not that they don't have, you know, valid information, but I like to do scientific research and just stick with the science of everything. So let's see, try to, anyway, so Skizit Gesture, that's a really good channel out on YouTube, and I'll find the link to the video, specific video about Morgellons and hair. I don't know if this camera can pick it up very well. Well, you can really see right here. So, like, most of my head was covered in this rash, and I just took another Dead Sea salt bath. I mixed the 2 tea baths. The lavender one has dried lavender flowers and essential oil of lavender. So I did about a half a jar of that, and then and coconut oil, and then a half a jar of the chamomile tea bath, and that has dried chamomile flowers, excuse me, and also essential oil of chamomile too. So that was a nice mix, and a lot of like dead skin or whatever it was all came off, and I slept so much better the last couple nights. That's why I shaved my head, because I had 2 nights where I was just like, I mean, as you can see, it's like most of my head is covered. I can't really tell on the back. I can just feel it, especially around the rim, but it's all on the top. You know, still kind of itchy a little bit, but it feels so much better. It was like all in the back of my ears. The same rash is like on my buttocks and genitals and the labia, you know, just the regular skin, not the vulva. Sorry, don't mean to get all like whatever, but and then under the arms, and then under my breasts, and the face is pretty clear. I have a couple little rough spots, you know, under the nose a little bit, and a couple little spots on the nose, but well, the profile picture on my channel, I never wear makeup, but that day I was feeling quite perturbed because the rash was coming up on my face, and if you have a big screen, you probably can't see the detail like if you're on a phone or tablet or whatever, but if you're on a regular computer with a bigger screen, you can see on my channel, my profile picture there, I have some little patches that were starting around my mouth and on my face, so especially like, you know, around my mouth you can really see it, but I have it covered up with makeup a little bit, but with cover up. and I did my makeup that day. I took a bath and exfoliated and, you know, washed my hair, did all that, and did my makeup a little bit. It was brand new makeup that I had right out of the package that I had had for like a year or so. And I didn't even leave the house that day. I just, you know, did my makeup, took some pictures. The one that I like the best is the one that I used for my profile picture on my channel. Also on my Facebook, whatever. But I say whatever because I don't really use Facebook. So, yeah, and then I just washed it off before I went to sleep. But I wanted to have... I wanted to feel better. So, because I was, you know, when you have a rash on your face, you feel kind of gross, like Job in the Bible with sores all over, you know, you feel like a leper kind of, you know. The rash on the hands isn't too bad. A couple years ago, my whole forearms, it looked like third-degree burns. It was so bad. But as you can see, just a couple little patches there. On the hand, a little bit on the finger right there, and then over here, also right there and right there, and then the other parts of the body that I've already explained. But yeah, I had hives, so I'm feeling much better. You know, I'm not suffering with horrible inflammation. Or, you know, a lot of pain and discomfort, mostly just like the itching, burning kind of, but that was alleviated with shaving my head and the rest of my body, if you know what I mean. I want to show you, though, this is what I am using, and I keep it in the fridge just because it just lengthens the shelf life of oils or whatever. But this one doesn't coagulate, so it's good in the fridge. But oh, it's backwards, of course. But it's sesame oil, not toasted sesame. It's organic, cold pressed. Organic cold pressed sesame oil. And I think sesame oil also has a natural sunscreen in it. I'm not sure. I think coffee extract as well. But that's really good for, like when I had, like, you know, it's pretty raw and open. So you have to be careful what you put on your skin, even if it's like a natural organic lotion or whatever. So sesame oil, next to jojoba oil, and sesame might even be more like nutrient rich, but jojoba oil is the most akin to your own natural body oil, and sesame oil I think is like, and it's cheaper than that, and you can just buy it in the grocery store. And so I put that all over my face, my hands, my head, back of my ears, all that. So you can use that all over. A lot of people use that as, well, I don't know about a lot, but actually in Vedic, or Ayurvedic medicine, they'll do like a whole body drench. I don't know if they do like enema and all that with it, but like they just, it's like they just pour it all over your body. I was watching this video where this guy was just getting a sesame oil treatment, and but if you do make sure you get the raw, organic, cold pressed, and it's just sesame oil, not toasted sesame oil. But you will find it in the cooking section, so just make sure that you get regular sesame oil, and you can tell by the color. You know, it looks like white wine color. Toasted sesame oil is quite a bit darker than that. So that feels really good. I don't know if you maybe even might be able to oil pull with it. I just brush with baking soda though, so I don't even use hydrogen peroxide because I heard that's not good for the Morgellons. And I kind of agree, because last couple of times before I switched over to just baking soda, I noticed how the hydrogen peroxide would give me this taste in my mouth that's tasted like the smell of my urine, which, and if you're trying to conserve water and you leave it in the toilet overnight, which I don't do anymore because it's so stinky just overnight, and it didn't used to be like that when I had Morgellons. It never smelled like that. It gets really cloudy and stinky, and but I noticed brushing with the hydrogen peroxide and baking soda that I was getting that taste, like it was the taste of the smell of the urine when it starts doing that funky thing. So I think they're right on with the hydrogen peroxide thing. So I'm just using straight up baking soda on a dry toothbrush, or just get the water really, really hot and then run your toothbrush under that to kind of, you know, get off any lint or bacteria or whatever. And then put baking soda on it and brush your teeth with that. So what else did I want to talk about? So the sesame oil, I wanted to definitely share that. Just, you know, I've always had beautiful hair, beautiful healthy hair, nails, skin, you know, not a makeup wearer or anything. I mean, I went through my phase in junior high or whatever, but so I really always like prided myself on my nice clear complexion and healthy hair and nails, which are, the left hand is getting better. The right hand's pretty much good now. But the Morgellons did, like this thumbnail, I still have issues. It's really ridgy. It was splitting down the middle, actually, and like all these layers, like feathering off. It was very strange, and that happened to almost all the nails on the left hand. So these ones break a little bit more, and it removed the cuticle. It's a little bit, you can't really tell in the camera, but it's kind of like a little bit black, purplish on the bottom, where it used to be just the pure white moon. Now there's like a kind of a black, purplish, discolored kind of line, and the cuticle hasn't grown back really on any of my nails. Maybe a little tiny bit on this hand, like the middle one. But yeah, it's just everything that could possibly go wrong with your body does. Urinary tract infections, which I never had in my life, and I had a couple of those. This was a couple years ago. Or just, you know, throughout the last couple of years. Trichomoniasis, I think it's called. They call it trick for short, which is supposedly an STD. And the first time I had it, I assumed it was from sex, okay? But the second time I had it, I was celibate for quite some time, months, I think maybe even a year, I'm not sure. So, and when it came back, I recognized what it was, the smell, the pain in the pelvic area, because you can get pain near your pelvic bone. It can cause you to be nauseous and different things. So, yeah, you take antibiotics and it's gone, but so I was like, that's weird. I've never had UTIs. I was getting all these infections with no specific cause for it, you know. Just want to like get there. So, yeah, the point was all weird little things that can start going wrong with your body. About 8 or 10 years ago is when I started seeing the first signs, but I didn't realize those were signs until I realized just like a few weeks ago that what I had was in fact Morgellons. I didn't know for sure actually until I got my microscope and started examining the things that were coming out of my skin, and I still don't have the camera. I think what we're going to do is return the whole thing, get a trinocular, because it's a binocular, and so you got to remove one of the eyepieces to put the camera in, and my dad thought he was getting a trinocular for me, but he got a and then DVD says that it's blank, that it can't read it, so I had to download the program from the internet, and then it said it wasn't recognizing the camera. It kept saying no device, even though it was plugged in. I checked everything. So, you know, this little CD that comes with the camera, so I'll ask my neighbor upstairs if he can check it on his computer, because on both it said blank disc and not recognizing the camera. So, you know, I prayed on that when I was taking my bath, so that should go all smoothly and everything, and if not, then, you know, we'll go from there. But trying not to get tripped up on anything and letting things not necessarily get me down, because I try to stay pretty positive, but just distract me. You know, I want to stay focused on, you know, living my life and being a mom and, you know, just enjoying life. So, and learning and growing spiritually and, you know. So I will share some of my findings. I found a nasty little, looked just like a little black fleck, but what it was it kind of looked like a turtle body, this insect, okay, with an ant head. It had teeth, okay? The compound eyes looked like it had like little black hairs growing out of the, which was one of the first signs, you know, but I didn't recognize it was a sign until I realized I had Morgellons just recently, but about 8 to 10 years ago. I was going to say that earlier and I got off track. I started getting these little black hairs, and I had long, like, brownish red kind of color hair. And fine, a lot of it, so thick, but fine. Each hair was fine itself, you know. And it was pretty much all, like, on the sides here and the top, you know, so not too much anywhere else that I noticed, but they were just short little, I mean, maybe they would have gotten longer, but they would just stick straight out, like, you know, above where my other hair would lay flat, and these were really thick and black. And I remember just, like, having to pull them out. I was like, ooh, what the hell what are these, like? And I had this weird dream where I had this hair-like thing. I remember looking at my skin, and I was really up close. I can't remember what part of my body it was, but I just remember it was my body, it was my skin, and I was pulling this big, long, thick black hair out like a feather was without the fluffy stuff on it. And then years later, or however many months or years or whatever later, I was watching a movie called The Black Swan, where Natalie Portman starts getting these black like wings or black, you know, the black swan feathers like coming out of her skin, and it triggered me to remember, oh yeah, I remember when I had that dream, and then I remembered about the black hairs, and then I thought, oh, okay, it might have had something to do with this like insect thing, okay, that I just found. And so and it's on Skizit Gesture, it explains all about how they release a certain hormone, I forget the name of it, but anyway, I'll put the link in here because in the description box below, because it's a little bit too brainy science for me to like repeat. I don't want to be inaccurate, and I really can't remember the name of the hormone, but it's interesting because this little bug-looking thing, okay, back to that, looked like it had those little black hairs on its head. It was weird, real short little black, you know, like how spiders have those thick whiskery hairs, you know, when you look up close, it's they're like tarantula hairs, you know what I mean? It makes your skin crawl. My skin's already crawling, but I mean, doing a lot better today. Last night I could feel it all, especially in my left eye, all up in my eye, flickering around. It felt like pieces of string being pulled underneath my skin on my legs and different parts of my body, my head too, but a lot in my eye. I noticed that was kind of tripping me out. So this bug, and I know it's not an ant, okay, it just looks like a little black fleck of nothing, because an ant has 3 body segments, I don't know, it's called the thorax or whatever, but it has 3 segments and a pair of legs. Oh, where'd we go? Okay, my screen just went black there. So it has 3 body segments and a pair of legs for each segment. This thing only has 1 body segment and kind of like tortoise shelled looking, kind of like flat, sort of flat on the bottom and rounder on the top. And so just 1 body segment and then its head, and then it has like these hind springy looking legs and forearms. So it kind of looks like a grasshopper mixed with an ant. So it kind of looked, and it might have had antennas, I don't know. They could have fallen off if it did have antennas. I know it has teeth, like razor little, like what all even in the same size, just like a tape dispenser and those little teeth on there. That's what it reminded me of. So it has a compound eye, it has teeth, so we feel these things biting us. It's because these things have some nasty little razor sharp teeth. And the Morgellon's fibers poke you, and so. But these things, when you get those like electric zaps and you're like zing, like someone just poked you with a guitar string, that's what it feels like, because that's why it feels like that, because they're teeth. So, but the back legs were broken off at the first joint, so you can just see it obviously has 2 legs, but the rest of the legs popped off because it's dead. It, maybe they fell off in the bath or in my whatever, but and it's so small, I'm not really sure what it is. It might be something called combella or whatever. Tasha Lee was talking about something called columbola. Columbola, is that it? Springtail is the layman's term for it. So it kind of looks like a springy sort of thing, but it's so small that I'm not sure if it's the same thing that she was dealing with. But I've only found 1 so far. I had some other black specks that I haven't examined yet, so I there may be a couple more of those. But oh my God, when I'm looking on the microscope, little bits that I collected from my bath, not today, but the one last night, I believe, or maybe the night before, because I'm doing them every day now. But when it first comes into view, into focus under the microscope, you're kind of like, oh God, it gives you the heebie-jeebies, because it's just gross to have all this stuff. And I already know that, we have microbes that live in our body. I think I learned in, maybe it was high school or something, I can't remember, that we have inside our eyelash follicle, there's a little microbe that looks like a worm that lives in there, and it's just part of, I don't know if you can ever get rid of it. So I'm just kind of trying to trick my brain in that way, like, okay, it's just, bodies are just colonies of cells and microorganisms all functioning together as an organ, and then all those organs together, it's like just a colony. That's what we are. It's just, a bunch of cells functioning together as like a community. So I keep rubbing my hands because I have the oil on it. It's just soothing any little itchiness. I don't like to scratch it, so that's why I'm always like rubbing my face and hands, and it just feels good too. It's good to massage your skin, massage the oil in. So my dad always said, you always had such a good shaped head because you were born C-section. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but yeah, not too bad with the bald as far as the shape, but the red map, the red river, whatever, all over my head is, but when, I have silk scarves and stuff. I have one right here actually, so really pretty silk scarf that I got at the thrift store for like $1, and it's got little mandalas on it, so and I don't need to go into a whole spiel. I live in a small town, so I might have people ask me, oh, you shaved your head? Or so. I'll just say, because I actually do have a friend who just went through chemo and lost all her hair, so I know some people do that when they have someone who they really love and care about lose their hair from whatever disease, you know. They'll shave their head as a gesture of empathy so that they don't feel so, you know, unfeminine and whatever, which I don't really care about. I know I'm a very masculine, but also very feminine, you know. Now, I used to be kind of more tomboyish, and then I went through a very feminine phase, and now I just feel more balanced as far as, you know, that's what Jesus was all about too. Not just all about that, but he was above gender, age, race, you know, wealth, all that. He transcended all the limitations of the 3D. And it's kind of disappointing, a couple of reactions that I got from one of my best friends and then my dad's best friend. I talked to my best friend the other night and then texted my dad's best friend because he's known me like my whole life, and he helped me get into my place by lending me the money for the U-Haul because all my money went to the deposit, and so I'm like, how am I going to make it? She won't budge on the budget. I was like, can you take $1,400 and then I have money for the... She's like, no, I'm not your mother. $1,900. I'm like, you know, which is true. You're not my mother. That's fine. Helping me out more than my mother ever would. But we're not going to go there. We've transcended that too. I wish peace and blessings for everyone. But so that enabled me to, you know, luckily my nephew was able to, he went to my storage, packed up the U-Haul, took care of the U-Haul. It was really a blessing how that was all orchestrated for me, and they really helped me out. So he knows that my birthday just passed on the 15th, and so he sent me a gift, which went to the neighbors. This was the second time they opened my package. They brought it to me, but they started eating the food. And then the guy was nice, like, oh, here, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no. I'm like, have you ever heard of targeted individuals and gang stalking? I'm not going to take any open food. No, thank you. Not with what I'm going through. I didn't really get into the details of it, but he was just like, no. But I think his wife was maybe, because I went over there and I introduced, because this was the second time, and this was a very important gift, and there was no, like, way I was going to take, even if it wasn't opened, you know, but there was a book with it, so I took the book and I said, go ahead, have the food, enjoy, Merry Christmas. But I went over there, because they have the same number, but it's right around the corner, so it's a different street, but it's still the same street number. So when I went over there to introduce myself, I kind of got this, and she seemed really nice, you know, that pure, innocent look, you know, but she said, oh yeah, if, you know, it didn't have your name on it, if it did, I wouldn't have opened it. All I saw was, you know, the number. And I'm like, you didn't read past the number to see the street name, and what my name wasn't on there. I thought that was odd because when her husband knocked at the door, when I answered it, he goes, are you Gretchen? And I said, yeah. So how did he know my name if my name wasn't on the package? And I know the Walmart package, the first one that they opened, definitely had my name on it, okay? Because every time I get something from Walmart, there's my name right there. So when she goes, oh yeah, and because I know the post office told us that, you know, some of our packages went to your house before, but so I can decode people, their energies, and what they're saying, and get the message, get more information with the limited amount of interaction I have with them. So what I was getting from that was, oh, okay, so she was butthurt over her packages coming here, and maybe there were people that lived here before me that weren't so decent and honest and kept her stuff or whatever. And so I think that's why she did what she did, because she was probably assuming that it was the same people living in this house. So when I went back the second time, because I brought some baby blankets, I had a newborn baby, and I thought it was a girl, so I brought the girly ones, but it ended up being a boy, but they didn't need it anyway, because he was like, oh, my mom makes all kinds of quilts, we have plenty of blankets. So I was just trying to be a nice neighbor and let them know I'm a nice person, you know, but I was quite upset. I didn't yell or hurt, nothing. I was totally nice. I was just like, well, in the future, can you make sure to check the packages and da-da-da. When I went back there the second time, she must have went in the other room. She didn't, you know, she must have been afraid to face me or whatever. But he was really nice, and he said, oh, here, let me give you a bottle of wine, you know. And I kind of feel sorry for he's kind of put in the middle where it's his wife, so he's got to have her back, but yet he's kind of cleaning up her messes, you know. And the first time you opened my Walmart package, my name's on there, okay? And he came and brought it over too. It's like, you know, if she's the one that keeps opening the packages, why don't you watch the baby for a minute and make her fat ass walk over here and you know, whatever. She is fat, but I'm just saying, I'm not trying to be judgmental, but when you're angry about something, you use whatever to feel better. And I'm just saying that right here personally, and I know other people might watch the video, but I'm not giving their names away or anything, and I have nothing against a body type. It has nothing to do with that. It's just, you know, I'm a human being. I get angry, but I would never be resentful like she was opening my packages because she thought her stuff came to my address by mistake, which, you know, the post office, whether or not they're being honest or what, I don't know, but yeah, and I told her, well, I've only lived here, I told her the exact date I moved in, well, him, because she was in the other room when I went back the second time to explain, because I was like, wait, she might have thought that I took her packages, I should go and explain and let me bring them over some baby blankets and stuff that I'm getting rid of anyway, so, that I'm donating to the Family Service Center here. That's where I give all the stuff that my son outgrows and everything, but, because they give it away free to the community, so I would much rather donate to them, and they have a play group and all that that we might start going to, just so, because now I'm homeschooling my son, but I want him to have like interaction with others and stuff, other children, but and they're great over there. It's a small little center, and they don't probably get much funding, so I suggest anytime you want to donate your children's old stuff, try to find a family resource center. Like I support thrift stores, yeah, but they make money, but they do help the community a lot. But these people give their stuff away for free and provide free services, so I'd much rather support them first and foremost. So, I don't see this ever happening in the future again, and I don't really want to report it to the post office because they do have a little child, and I don't want anyone to have to go to court, and it doesn't matter. And he gave me a bottle of wine, so that was nice. And she learned a lesson, you know, and I faced her and shook her hand and met her and just, you know, asked her to please be sure in the future to check the packages very carefully because we do share the same number, street number, different streets but same number. And, you know, she lied about my name not being on the package, which it might not have been, but it was definitely on the first package, the Walmart package. And she opened it up and saw they were, when I got my first pack of tarot cards, the little mini harmonious deck from Lo Scarabeo. And oh, it wasn't a ring, because it felt like those heavy-duty ring boxes, like when you buy a nice, expensive ring, and it comes with, like, that, you know, heavy-duty, like, weighty box, because it was a small package and mini tarot, so it kind of had the same weight and feel in it, so, you know, but it's like, you know if you ordered something or not, you know what I mean? I know when I ordered something, when I'm expecting packages and whatnot, and I always, like, you always look at the label. So anyway, she was full of shit, but I hope she now realized that that's why revenge isn't a good thing, because you could be thinking you're having revenge on someone, but they end up, that's not even the correct person, because it's the same house, yeah, but it's a different tenant, okay? And I told her husband that, I said, the package thing must have happened before I moved in there. And I told him the exact date I moved in, which is about 1.5 years ago. And I said, you know, I can't attest to what kind, you know, I did meet one of the tenants who came over after I first moved in because she was expecting something in the mail and whatever. And, I did have something, but it was for a different tenant. So there was, you know, there's been quite a few tenants that lived here before me. So I, even though I have a note in my mailbox, I do have to constantly send mail back to the post office. So I showed her what I did have, and I'm like, but it wasn't her name. I'm like, okay, well, I'll just have to give that back to the post office. But I think I had it inside because I was gonna go down to the post office, or I didn't want it to be sitting in the mailbox, probably like on a Sunday when there wasn't mail, because it's just a flimsy mailbox anyone can just open. And I had problems with people going on my property, and after that. But so she seemed like a nice enough person, but maybe not too. I didn't get a high vibing energy from her. I'll just say that. So, I told her husband, I said, I can't attest to any former tenants. I met one of them once, and, and she may have seemed a little sketchy. But I can guarantee you, I've never gotten any packages, because if I did, I said I would have brought them over, and, well, if you weren't home, I would have left you a note and held on to it for you, because they don't have a gate or anything either, just like me. Someone could just walk up on their porch and steal their, and then I would feel responsible for that. So, or I would just simply give it back to the post office. But they just lived like kitty corner to me, literally 2 houses around the corner. So, so I can see how that mistake can be made. I might just let the post office know, just in simple generic terms, that our mail's been getting mixed up, and to please be very careful. And because I met the woman in person and shook her hand and introduced myself and let them know that I've only lived here a year and a half, I'm not the person that's like keeping your packages. So, and I let them know that that was my birthday. Okay, when he actually came over was my birthday. And I said that was from my dad's best friend who's known me my whole life. That was, the only birthday present that I got. And, I appreciated him bringing, but they had already opened almost all the food. It was nice stuff from Trader Joe's, like truffles and chocolate covered almonds and chocolate covered blueberries. And, like my dad's friend owns his own business and he's got a lot of money, but, I was like, he should be reimbursed for that. So I asked him for the tracking number and, to text me a picture of the Trader Joe's receipt, because I did get the book. So I wasn't going to be dishonest and get the whole thing reimbursed. And there were 2 of the packages out of like a dozen things in there that weren't open, but they had already had them in their house. And he was saying, like, oh, we have lots of people in and out of our house, blah, blah. He was covering up for his wife, okay? It was a bunch of bullshit. And then he said, I have a new, I'm like, he said he had a newborn baby. And I'm going, and I say, you have a lot of people coming in and out of your house, and you have a newborn baby? That's not very wise, do you think? So see how when people, like, want to be dishonest or cover up another lie with a lie, they actually dig themselves into things that make them look like a bad person. Like, that doesn't seem like a very wise parent. You have a newborn baby and you have random people coming in and out of your house. So when I went over there, she was like, oh, I wouldn't have opened it if I saw the name on it. So he lied about someone else opening it. Okay, it was actually his wife that did it. And then she lied about my name not being on the package. And then the fact that the post office delivered it to the wrong place in the first place. I'm like, I don't know if my mail's being intercepted and people are effing with me, if this is a TI thing or whatever. I'm not going to read too much into it. I'm just going to let people know that this isn't going to happen anymore, because in the future, if this happens, which I don't think the neighbors are going to do it anymore now that they have that revenge thing solved, I think, because now they realize it wasn't me, it was my address and someone who lived here before me who might have done that. And I don't doubt that their packages were sent here by mistake and that person was dishonest and didn't give them their package. I don't doubt that, but if it was delivered properly in the first place, okay, so the post office is really the one who's responsible for that. So and it's a small town, it's a small crew down there, it's a small town, so I see a lot of the same people all the time. So I'll just mention it to them. I'm not going to, say anything else as far as like them opening my stuff. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. If it happens again, though, I will, like report them and get reimbursement from the post office, just to let them know that they're not gonna skate any responsibility. It's their responsibility to deliver the packages properly. I think it's real stupid that we both we're 2 houses around the corner from each other and we have the same exact number. Whoever, they must have been high when they came up with this. I don't know why they did that, but it's just like if they were very different numbers, this mix-up wouldn't be happening all the time. But that's why it's important to pay attention to detail, and then not be a vengeful person, and be an honest and decent person. And even if you're married, that doesn't mean you cover up for your wife or your husband or your children when they do something wrong. If it's wrong, it's wrong. You don't make excuses for them. You don't cover it up. If your child ends up murdering someone, that doesn't mean you don't love your child because you turn them into the authorities. They need to be turned in, and you need to do the right thing. But that doesn't mean you hate your child, So that's what I was watching an interview with is it Ted Kaczynski? Is that his name? The Unabomber or whatever. He could have been a TI. Who knows? When it comes to disease and mental illness and all this stuff, I'm really rethinking if this stuff even actually exists. But I remember an interview with his mom and dad and brother, and they seemed like a very nice, loving, caring family, and she had to turn him in. Unless I'm getting stories cross-wired, whatever, but it's not that she stopped loving her son, but she was a woman of God and had to do the right thing. And so, I believe she was the one who turned him into the authorities. So that's why it's important to put God first. You don't put your children first. You don't put your husband first. You don't put your wife first. You don't put your best friend first. You don't put the cutie pie you got a crush on first. You don't put yourself first. It goes, when you put God first, it self-prioritizes. So having your priorities straight is putting God first. And then what comes after God? You. Okay? And then your spouse. I believe your spouse before your children. As long as you're in a functional, healthy relationship, and they put God first as well, and you have core values that are aligned, with each other. Because kids can play mom against dad, dad against mom, and try to break up. That's why you got to be a tight unit, because your kids can manipulate you. They're learning and growing. So God, then self, then your spouse if you have one, then your children, or your children if you don't have a spouse, But, and then the rest of your extended family, your parents, cousins, and then your community, and then your country, and then the world, just like how you radiate. You're like the pebble in the pond, and those rings that extend out to infinity until you can't even see them anymore, but they're still there. But so the core, that pebble, that's the number one thing. Without it, you wouldn't have any radiation. You wouldn't have any force field of energy or any extension. The core is God. God has to come first. Then you're the next ring on that. And then your spouse, and then your children, or your children if you don't have a spouse. And then, like I said, then your extended family, and then your community, your immediate community, and then your county, your state, your country, the world. Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to share about that mail thing and how. We want to like report stuff and turn people in, and you need to reimburse me, but not that. Yeah, my dad's friend does have a lot of money, but that doesn't mean that he should just waste it and not be reimbursed. And so I checked with him first before I said anything to the post office, which I haven't yet, but I am going to just mention it to them. Go in, the next time I go on a walk and I'm downtown, I'm just going to go in there and just make sure the people who do my route, because it's usually the same people, same person, or same couple of people that, they have a certain route. So just let them know that, just to be extra careful, because we've had some conflict with packages not showing up and being, because of the street number, which isn't their fault. So I understand. That's why, just, and you have to understand, she has a weight problem, okay? And so she sees all this gorgeous, delicious food, and then her husband has to end up lying for her. So she has this vengeance thing because of the packages that came here before when I didn't live here, and she never got them. Post office said they came here. And then she's dealing with the weight issue, apparently, obviously, So sometimes God works through me to bring other people their karma, even though I'm just a vessel for it, to whatever, So maybe what's going to happen now is her and her husband are going to have a conversation. Maybe she's going to realize that her food addiction or whatever has led to bigger problems besides just a weight issue. Maybe he's going to realize that covering up for his wife just, demasculinizes him. It doesn't make him a better husband. It actually weakens him and demasculinizes him and takes his power away. So, yeah, wearing my little, I forget what this shell is called. There's little silver charms that I got at the local little jewelry, not jewelry store. They're kind of a jewelry store, but they fix jewelry and stuff too. So it's kind of like 2 figure 8s that make a crucifix there. And then I got that at like Kmart or whatever. It was like 70% off, I don't know. So, and then I just added that little, I forget the name of that shell, but it kind of looks, I found a lot in Mexico when I was a kid traveling to Puerto Vallarta, Ixtapa, Zihuatanejo, with my foster family. We did Puerto Vallarta a couple times and stayed in the Las Palmas Hotel, which is really nice now. They have like a second pool and all this stuff. And then once in Ixtapa, Zihuatanejo, I think it was called the Ixtapa Palace or something like that. That was a really beautiful, cool place. I love Mexico. Is just such the woman painting the ceramic suns and different things, that she basically had like a gig there at the hotel. She's had such a warm, loving heart, like that mama soul, and that's why really, and I just living in California, go to school and have a lot of Hispanic friends, and I always really felt that really motherly vibe from my friends' moms and stuff. And the lady who was the cook at my preschool, I used to hang out. She lived a couple doors down from me when I was a kid, across the street, and so I'd always go hang over at their house. And she had a bunch of sons that were in like their 20s, and they were all so cute, and I had crushes on them all. Good family, good fun. Their dog was like one of my best friends, Coco, a brindle pit bull that would just roam the neighborhood. It was just the sweetest dog ever. And I'd have to tell her to go home, or she'd want to follow me home and stuff. So that was like one of my best friends when I was little. Very fond of the Peñas, and their mother, all those boys. Their dad was real cool, good, hardworking man. I remember they would have parties, and they would throw all this change, like money, up in the air and then land on the ground, and kids, kind of like the piñata, So that has a certain name to it too. I forget, but it's just, they were just beautiful people. And so I always loved traveling to Mexico because the vibe of the people there, especially. I'm trying to think. I don't think I've been anywhere else outside of the United States besides Mexico, so I don't really have anything to compare it to. But yeah, I just went off on a little tangent there, but just good-hearted, warm-hearted, hardworking, caring, loving, God-fearing people. Um, and I worked at a high school in the special ed department for about 4 years, and one teacher in particular made a racial comment about that. That really upset me, because a lot of our students who were Hispanic were like first generation, and their custom is like, if you're not planning to go to college, you don't really, like, you may only have until like a 6th grade, so you have a primary education, you learn the basics and stuff, but if you're not planning on going to college, you start working and helping your family and stuff, you don't really go to high school. So a few of our female students were marrying their boyfriend with their parents' consent, of course, at 15. Well, 15 is when they have their quinceañera, and then 16, I guess, they get married or whatever. And so we had a couple of them drop out of school, which was really sad because I really loved those girls. But they chose that, or they might have had some pressure from the family, I'm not sure. But they seemed very happy about their decision and very much in love. And so so I was just referring to some kind of sentiment about that situation. And one of the teachers said, yeah, until they start beating them. And I felt such dirty, disgusting ugliness from that, because I don't think I've ever heard like a racial statement like that before. Just so blatant, well, that was a loud truck. So yeah, I really, because all I've ever seen, just walking around town, I see Mexican men with their children, and the woman's like having her day off on the weekend or whatever, and that's the time that he's like being with his kids. And I would see that time and time again. And a lot of these men have built their own homes, they have their own businesses. A lot of the people that I went to high school with or went to school with, their families are from Mexico. They're first generation. They own their own business. They built their own house. They own their own property. Their truck's paid off. So to say, oh yeah, they beat their, I see them so loving, God-fearing. Domestic abuse and domestic violence is across the board, across all races, ages, socioeconomic backgrounds. So to make a statement like that that's why I got out of the school district. We're at like 52 minutes. Okay, I'm going to try to wrap this up. Because I loved my students. They loved me. But I just saw time and time again the teachers having some sense of authority, which would lend itself to like these racial comments, and especially if they had tenure. After you work there 10 years, you have tenure, which means it's a big, hard, long, dubious process to get a teacher fired because of the union and stuff. So they think that they have, carte blanche when they have tenure. They can say and do whatever they want. And I've witnessed students being grabbed by the arm, yelled at and called the a-hole, called an a-hole. The behind the scenes, like the gossipy, one teacher talking about another student who had a really bad acne problem, and she made this remark like, ugh, gross, like how could anybody like want to kiss him, and and she looked like a little, not much better looking than what I look like right now, like a little bald troll. So short little angry little bald little troll that I had lots of issues with. So these people, they just have issues with themselves, and their life is miserable, and so they just spew hate wherever they go. And really nasty racial, these are women like in their 50s, and they're talking about a teenager like that. Like, what's wrong with you? Grow up. We all need to grow up. I have more growing to do. Thank God. I'd be dead if I didn't have any more growing to do. So yeah, you know, I was experiencing a lot of anxiety before going to work when I worked at that place, and I made it through 4 years, but I did have a lot of sick days because I would get ready for work, take my shower, get dressed, everything ready to go, step out the door, and I would just be like, oh, I can't, like, I'd go throw up. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't, being around these negative people, and it wasn't the students, okay, like I said, it was always the staff, the administration, the teachers, the principal, um, you know, and they target you and harass you, and, you know, not like as a TI, I'm just saying, like, because you speak your mind, and people who are angry want you to conform, the misery loves company kind of theory, you know, and then when they see that you're not like that, you're not like them, they get angry at you, and because it's a pretty traumatic process to face yourself, see yourself clearly, know that you have growing to do, things you need to learn, you need to elevate your consciousness, you need to raise your vibration, you need to cut things out of your life that you know are unhealthy. So it's much easier to just distract yourself with focusing on what's wrong with somebody else, instead of trying to perfect yourself, which is reaching perfection is just allowing the process and trusting in the process. So perfection isn't this thing like an ultimate goal and then, oh, I'm done, now I'm perfect. No, perfection is knowing that no matter what's happening, it's God's will, and surrendering to that. That's what I believe perfection is. So my son just woke up from his nap, so I gotta get going here, and this is about almost an hour long, so I apologize. But yeah, I just wanted to show the, not be embarrassed that I'm all bald now and got this rash all over my head, and little bit on my face. My face is a little bit irritated, but yeah, that oil is good stuff. Not everything is a TI incident. We need to just... And they haven't been spraying. I don't know if it's because Trump's president now, and they were trying to dump all the stuff that they had left before, because they knew Trump had become president. He wasn't officially inaugurated yet, but, we had a few days there in a row that were sunny and nice. I think I saw maybe 2 planes the whole day, and way off in the distance, not over my house, and there was a little bit of contrail, but they were way up, and it was a very cold day, so it did linger a little bit. Usually it dissipates right away, so I could tell it was contrail. I didn't see any filament drift. There were no chemtrails. I haven't even heard any planes. I only saw one today because I was standing out on my porch to see the little patches of blue, because it's going to be raining and actually snow on Tuesday. So the next couple days, more rain, but then we're going to have sunny skies for maybe for about a week, so that'll be really nice. So I was absorbing those little patches of blue, and saw a jet, real nice jet, it was so way up high you couldn't even hear it, so I wouldn't even have seen it if I wasn't outside. So I feel good about that, about there hasn't been any planes or chemtrails, helicopters, and it's funny, once I realize, okay, I gotta go. Once I realize that things are happening with me, like, wow, now they're doing a helicopter thing? Am I tripping? It's not a rescue helicopter. It doesn't say reach or any. It's all unmarked and stuff. And then I'll see a couple other TIs say the same thing. Oh, now they're doing the helicopter thing. So it's like they have this new thing they're gonna do, and then they attack all the TIs with that thing. So, oh, now let's incorporate helicopters, and then they do, so you'll see that, like, I watched Targeted in Missouri. He's a great guy. His channel is called Targeted in Missouri. I can't remember his name. I don't know if he shared it in the videos that I've seen, but he was talking about how they use trash as stimuli, like litter, okay? So people got into my trash and did that, and it was like, one of the bags was like, the handle was hooked around one of my bushes, and so it was just like, okay. And after they did it the second time, I'm like, well, I'll just keep my trash cans in the backyard, and I'll just bring them out, you know, at like 5 in the morning, because they come at, you know, right before 5:30 or right around 5:30 in the morning for the recycling. So I'll just bring out the garbage on garbage day, just enough, you know, time to where it won't be sitting out there for very long, and just keep an eye on it for that, you know, half-hour time frame, or, you know, however long it takes for them to, because I think they hit me first, 5:30 in the morning, so I'll bring it out about 5, quarter after 5, and just wait till they pick it up. And so if people want to get into my garbage and try to use, you know, litter as stimuli, then they're going to be trespassing on my property. So they're going to have to come past a gate into my backyard, because my front yard doesn't have a gate, and you got to put them out on the curb, you know. And then it is public property. Once it's out on the street, people can go and do recycling and take bottles out, which is fine, but like, don't make a mess, clean up after yourself. And if it's a homeless person doing that, they always do, they're respectful. So I know this was like a targeted thing. So you know, so I'm a solution-oriented person, so I put the cans in the backyard, no big deal. Got room back there, and they're gonna have to trespass, and, you know, and they're not that ballsy. So I hope they're not that ballsy, because I'm gonna, I don't know, maybe do like a little, have just a surveillance camera thing, not like a big alarm system and blah blah blah, you know. But you know, maybe just a camera for the sides of the house, and then one for the front, one for the back. I'm gonna look into how much that's all gonna be, and just, you know, to keep an eye on things when I'm not here, and I gotta go run errands or whatever, and I'm always home every night, so it's, you know, so just to keep track that everything, you know, no suspicious activity or whatever. And I don't expect any or suspect any, but there already has been people coming onto my property. I guess they were using it as a drug swap, and then I think someone was trying to sleep under my stairs. That's why I was having an issue with my landlord to get a fence put up. So I at least put one on my front porch, so no one can knock at my door or get to my door, and they can't figure it out because it's like a baby gate. And then I had them screw the back piece of lattice closed, put a lock on the utility box. And this is in a video I made a long time ago where I talked about Archangel Michael and the lattice being nailed shut and the utility box locked. So, because he gave me a message at the 2 different times to catch these people like red-handed, you know. So, listen to those nudges, because they're very quiet. It's not someone yelling, blasting a megaphone in your ear. So that's what the attention to detail thing is listening to that quiet voice inside you, those little nudges from your gut saying, you know, why don't you just wait and do this tomorrow? Or, you know, we're always wanting to do, you know, but sometimes you miss the bus. Instead of being frustrated, you know, it could have saved your life. Or maybe not always something so tragic, but like maybe the next bus that's coming, you're going to meet someone who's going to be your best friend for the next 10 years, or, you know. So just realize that everything is going along, happening according to divine plan. So allow divine plan and divine timing to unfold, and just allow for the process, and you might be amazed. So, all right, this is okay. Now we're going a few minutes over an hour, so we're gonna leave it there. Sorry I blabbed on. There were some things I just wanted to get off my chest and share, expose myself so I don't feel so gross, ugly, whatever. It is what it is, but I'm feeling much better, and with this oil, even if you don't have Morgellons or skin, this is just skin issues or whatever, this is just a good organic, cold-pressed sesame oil. This is Napa Valley Naturals brand. Just a good overall, you can put it in your hair, your skin, it doesn't sting your eyes, put it on your lips, you know, your sensitive spots, if you know what I mean, if you have any like irritation down there. So yeah, all right. I love you all. Blessings to you all, and peace be upon you all.